All right, everyone, welcome back. So we continue on in our 2024 trade deadline previews today with the Chicago Blackhawks. So the Blackhawks honestly might be a shorter one than usual when you look at the sellers overall, because Chicago as a team, there isn't a whole lot they're probably going to move. There's probably some minor guys, but nothing major this trade deadline. All the guys they moved that were major were last year. This year, it's just kind of players, to be honest with you. So, as of today, they are currently 14, 35, and 3 for 31 points. They are 8th in the Central Division, and they are obviously going to be sellers at this year's trade deadline. That should not surprise anyone whatsoever on what their deadline position is going to be. It should not surprise anyone at all. Just mainly because this team isn't good. It's just being honest. They're bottom of the Central Division. They're bottom of the NHL. And that should not surprise anyone. They currently have $9.1 million in cap space when you look at the overall numbers there. So definitely they have some cap space for sure. And I'm assuming that after this deadline, they will have some more cap space to get rid of. So they have a long list of UFAs and RFAs. So we're just going to get straight into it here. So starting off with your UFAs, you got Colin Blackwell, Rem Pitlick, Zach Sanford, Jared Tenorti, Jason Magna, Tyler Johnson, Nikita Zaitsev, Anthony Beauvillier, and Luke Phillips. So those are all your guys that you have on the UFAs. You got Blackwell there. Very solid fourth line, third line, depth player. Could be a guy that honestly does get moved at the deadline. That could be something. But it won't be for much. They won't get much back in return for him. Pitlick, the same thing probably goes for him. Won't get too much of a return. Sanford, Tenorti, Magna. Honestly, a lot of these guys are all more or less just depth players on other teams. However, the Blackhawks are so shallow when it comes to their overall system that this is how it's been for the last couple of years. Just guys that, would be depth players if they were on, other teams per se, but on Chicago, they are obviously a part of the main roster. So a lot of these guys you won't get a lot of traction for. Tyler Johnson, however, you may get some traction for. He is probably the number one player on Chicago that if there was a guy that was going to get traded, it would be Johnson. Apart from that, there isn't a whole lot of guys that I'd say, yeah, they're going to get moved. Yeah, they're going to get moved. It's more or less going to be probably Johnson and maybe a few other players. Zaitsev, another defenseman, not really going to be a whole lot of traction for him. Beauvillier may get some traction. Beauvillier was obviously traded to Chicago earlier in the year, so definitely he may get some, action there at this year's deadline. But honestly, if I'm a Blackhawks fan, would not expect all too much. And then Phillip, a depth player, won't get a lot for him. So those are your UFAs. Your RFAs, you got Lucas Reichel, Mackenzie Entwistle, Reese Johnson, Anderson, Kachuk, Radish, Vlasic, and Phillips. So a lot of these guys aren't big name players. A lot of you guys really won't know who these guys are unless you are avid Blackhawks fans, which if you are, props to you. Sorry you're going through all this. You won cups though, so stop talking. Anyways, you got Reichel, very solid forward who struggled this year. No denying it. He struggled a lot through this season. You're hoping that he turns it around in the second half of the season. He won't get traded, but definitely was a guy that was a young player, part of this roster that has been concerning in the NHL this season. So hopefully he turns it around by the time we talk about them at the end of the season. Entwistle, not a big guy. Reese Johnson, kind of the same thing. Anderson, same there too. Kachuk, he's been all right. Radish has been solid. He's gotten some first line minutes. In fact, they're playing with Connor Bedard when he's healthy. But apart from that, not a whole lot there. Vlasic, one of the next solid top 4, top 6 defenders on this team. So definitely may get signed to a contract. And then Phillips, too, probably will get signed to some league minimum type deal. So overall, not a whole lot to talk about there with Chicago. What are your needs? And the needs should be very obvious. You need picks. You need prospects. Mainly picks, though, is what Chicago is going to be going for here. So your movable pieces are Beauvillier, Johnson, and Sanford are guys that I have written down. However, Connor Murphy could get moved. Colin Blackwell could get moved. There's very other notable names on there that are guys that could very well get moved on the Chicago team. So there's some names that may get moved, but honestly, with Patrick Kane and Taze and all the guys that were moved last year are gone, I would not expect any of the other guys to get moved. That's just not what I'm expecting here with Chicago. So anyways, a relatively short video for a deadline team, but honestly not a whole lot to talk about. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it. Next up, we have the Lightning, I believe. So we'll move on into them. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.